Today we're going to be starting our data unit, and the first two things we're going to be talking about today are mean and median. We'll also talk about mode and range and look at some other ways to look at information, but today we're only going to focus on mean and median. So if you'll start, you should have your notes in front of you. And we're going to start with the definition of measures of center. A measure of center is a way of summarizing the data that by providing a central point of data. So the word here is a way of summarizing. Summarizing the data. Okay, the mean, I'm sure you've heard of. We typically call it the average. Okay, and the mean is a measure of center in which the average of the data is found. It can be found by finding the sum of the data. And notice I wrote add all the numbers up. And then you have two steps to this. The next thing you need to do is divide by the number of data points. The mean can also be thought of determining the fair share. Fair share. So if we look at it visually with the gumballs here, we see that each one of these gumball machines has a different number of gumballs. So we would want to give each machine its fair share. And to do that, we would need to move some of them around. So let's figure out how many pieces of gum are in this machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And right here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And on the last machine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So write down each one of those. So if I were trying to make sure that each machine had the same amount of gumballs, I would obviously take some from here and put it over here and take some from here. And so we need to figure out what the mean or the average is. So what you can do is add them up. So we would add each one of these numbers together. So 11 plus 5 is 16. Plus 8 would be 24. So the sum would be 24. And then what we want to do is divide it by the 3 gumball machines. So 24 divided by 3 machines would give me 8 gumballs for each machine. So that's a fair share. The list below shows the shoe size for 8 students in Mr. Perito's class. So what we want to do first is add up each one of these numbers. So I'll give you a moment. You can even pause the video if you need to add those up. Remember to line up your decimals. I see I have 2 numbers with 0.5. So that would automatically add up to be 1 whole. So let's do that, carry a 1. And then I usually will kind of skip around and look, like 8 and 10, or 8 plus 2 is 10. And then I see that 9 plus the 1 I carried is another 10. And then I have left 3 plus 2, which is 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to total, all of this is going to be 28. So that's just this ones column. So I'm going to put the 8 here and carry the 2. And then I kind of just can real easily say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the sum of the shoe sizes is 88. So we're going to write that in the spot for sum. And then to find the mean, I wrote on here, it's the sum divided by how many? Well, how many shoes or how many students gave their shoe size? Well, we have 8. So really it would be 88 divided by 8. So the mean or the average shoe size is 11. Why don't you try number 2 real quick? So when I add this up, I get 490. Now to figure out the mean, oh well, let's go ahead and put that in the sum box, 490. To figure out the mean, I need to take the 490 and divide it by however many pieces of data I have. In this case, it's the ages of people. So I would look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 pieces of data. So 490 divided by 10 would give me an average age of 49. This last one is a little bit different because they have, well, let's read it. The following data set represents the number of times the phone rings when callers contact Comcast Cable customer service. So 4 rings 2 different times. The frequency is talking about 2 different times that rang 4 rings. One time when a customer called, it rang 5 times. 2 different customers called and it rang 6 times before somebody answered. No one called and it rang 7 times before anyone answered. 2 people called for 8 and 1 person called and it rang 9 times before anyone picked up. So see how it says list here? That's because we need to list out exactly what each call was. So for instance, I have 4 rings, because see that said 2, 5, 1 person had 5 rings, 2 people had 6 rings, 2 people had 8 rings, and 1 person had 9. So this would be our list of how many times the phone rang before someone picked up. Go ahead and add that up real quick. You should have gotten a sum of 50. And then let's count how many pieces of data we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had 8 callers, and we're going to divide 50 by 8. A different color. 8 will go into 5 0 times. 8 will go into 50 6 times, because 6 times 8 is 48. And I do have a remainder, so I need to add a decimal and a 0. 8 will go into 20. Bring that decimal straight up. 8 will go into 22 times. Give me 16. Get another 0 and drop it down. 8 will divide 40 5 times, nice and even. So the average or mean times that the phone rang was 6.25. Go ahead and turn over to the back.